Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Swizz Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyler Sumner. Alongside to me are not one, but two very special guests. First, he's the host of all live stream Bruins games all year round over on YouTube, Mr. Sam Smith. Sam, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thanks for coming on to the show today.
Absolutely.
And the second guest, we have the host of the Floodster Sports Zone, Broxton Rocks intern, Mr. Grant Flood. Perhaps the biggest LA Knight fan at Dean College, besides a lot of other people. But guys, let's get into that first. Let's talk about LA Knight, because my God, is he getting over right now in this company?
I mean, every single week, the crowd continues to get louder and louder. And during Money in the Bank, when he's up on the ladder, he's literally touching the briefcase. The building was about to explode, but of course, Priest dumps him off the ladder, wins the briefcase. I'm sure we're going to recap Money in the Bank, but I mean, wow, LA Knight, man, what a rise. I remember when I started getting back into wrestling during his feud with Bray Wyatt, I was like, this guy, he has a lot of potential, and he continued to work on his promo skills, and now he's become a fan favorite, and I just love it. Even I'm saying LA Knight, yeah, after every single promo now, because the guy is simply incredible, and he knows how to engage with the audience.
Absolutely. Sam, you want to take that over?
Yeah. All right. So, first of all, the one little nitpick I have with LA Knight, his finisher sucks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, right. His promo work is top tier. Like some of the best we've seen in a long time. Like he gives me, like he is the perfect mix of Austin and Rock. Like he just sounds like The Rock, and his mannerisms are like Stone Cold. But at the same time, his in-ring work is pretty good, but his finisher needs to change. He needs to get something a little better, because they call it, what do they call it? The BFT? Is that what they're calling it on TV? I don't know. It's like that. It's like that face buster thing that makes it look like the original Dirty D's. It looks stupid. It all goes upon how you sell it, and it just it's okay. He needs a new finisher. But for me, book it right now. SummerSlam, Theory and LA Knight for the US title. Book it right now.
In the words of LA Knight, let me talk to you. I love what he's doing right now, because Triple H, I don't know if you guys watched the press conferences after the shows. So
I
watched
did
it.
Hear what Triple H had to say. Yes.
LA Knight is so over right now with the people. He's more over than Seth right now, which is absurd. And Seth is one of the most over guys in the company. But LA Knight, man, at first I wanted the feud to be LA Knight versus Logan Paul. Because LA Knight would have just cooked him on the mic. Yeah. So, but it's I feel like the match at SummerSlam will be LA Knight versus Theory, because, not for the United States Championship, the United States Heavyweight Championship, as they've started calling them again.
Oh, good. They've been starting to call them
the Intercontinental. Bring a little bit more
it is
relevancy to the titles.
Yes.
They're calling it the Intercontinental Heavyweight title too?
Yes.
Good.
And we'll get into that situation in a little bit. Now, I do think it should be LA Knight versus Theory, and I think LA Knight should be the one to dethrone Theory, because Theory right now, to me, is in a very interesting situation, if you will.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not a main eventer, but he's not a mid-carder as well. Like, this is a guy to me, and I love him on the main roster, but I think he should go back down to NXT and Carmelo Hayes should have his first big feud. And have that feud run all the way into SummerSlam. Have the NXT title be defended on a premium live event. Because we saw Carmelo Hayes have a phenomenal match with Finn Balor on Monday Night Raw.
Right.
It was great. And I think Carmelo Hayes is more ready for the main roster than Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, hey, Carmelo Hayes went out there and like there's a difference because not a lot of main roster fans watch NXT. So he didn't get like a crazy big reaction, but as the match was going on, the fans were starting to get behind Carmelo in that match. So I can understand why Carmelo Hayes is ready, but I'm not ready for him to drop the title yet. Because I've been getting back in NXT the past few weeks because I've been seeing how good they've been doing down there. Well, I have to talk about NXT in a little bit, but because there's something really interesting going on in NXT. I don't know if you guys caught it the other night, but yeah. So I think that could be cool. But I don't want the United States Championship to not be defended on SummerSlam. So I want Theory can go down to NXT and face Carmelo. That's great, just after SummerSlam.
Right. I'm not saying Carmelo drops the title to Theory. I'm saying Carmelo and Theory have a match at SummerSlam for the NXT Championship, and Carmelo retains at SummerSlam.
I said that Theory. I want Theory to defend the U.S. title at SummerSlam too. So I don't want him to work two. I don't want him to work two matches. So we can have Theory and Carmelo. It's just after Theory drops the U.S. title, hopefully to LA Knight.
Yeah.
If WWE books it right, then yeah, they'll
absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there because you mentioned, well, does Theory face Hayes at SummerSlam? And then you remember that there's also a United States Heavyweight Championship match tonight, Theory versus Sheamus. If Theory was to potentially lose tonight, then you can build into that feud heading into SummerSlam. But right now, I think my prediction for tonight goes Theory, finds a way, kind of, cheats his way into a victory, beats Sheamus, LA Knight comes out, shoots a promo, and that's going to set up their SummerSlam match with LA Knight finally fully transferring over to a babyface. I think at this point, he's so over with the crowd, you got to make him a babyface. Clearly, Theory not, still getting on the fans' nerves. I think it would be great.
He's practically a babyface at this point.
Right.
Based off crowd reaction and, all that stuff. He's practically a babyface.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was our conversation on LA Knight. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the newly returned at Money in the Bank. Before we get into Drew McIntyre, folks, John Cena came out of nowhere.
Yeah, okay, so it was hilarious because my family watches and stuff like that, so we're all watching in the living room, and my mom was talking about something, and then I cut her off with a what as Cena's music hit, and my mom stopped and she was like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, we're all like, "What is he doing there?" As he just came out, we were like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, and I want to talk about this because when Cena was coming down to the ring, he was running ropes. Like I was sitting there like, oh, Cena's ready for a match.
Right, exactly.
And then he dropped.
Grayson Waller came out, and then I thought we were going to get a match for a second.
Right, exactly, an impromptu match.
But then we get the bombshell. WrestleMania potentially happening in London, England. And guys, I want WrestleMania 41 in London.
Absolutely. Well, it's even more interesting because apparently that has made its way to British Parliament. But they're trying to talk with it in the British Parliament now. So it has been brought up to have WrestleMania in Wembley in 2025, which is going to be massive for the company because AEW is having their pay-per-view in London next month. No, I think it's All In. I think is what they're calling it.
All In, yes.
Yep. So that's going to be huge. They've sold like 75,000 tickets for AEW. That's massive.
And could you imagine the ticket sales for Wembley for WWE?
For I think it's like 100,000 seater in that stadium. They can sell that entire stadium out.
And my God, the woe for Cody Rhodes in Wembley will be louder. Because I think the loudest woe was definitely at the O2.
Really? Yeah.
But Grant, what are your thoughts on this? I'm curious. Like, what do you think we should get Mania in London? Like,
I'm 100% all for it. I mean, we've already kind of branched out this past year doing pay-per-views in, separate countries. Why not? It's about time, WrestleMania will eventually be in a different continent. And I'm all for it because I thought the crowd last Saturday was absolutely energetic. They were really getting into Cody Rhodes, LA Knight. Io Sky when she won. Like, everything was so good. Obviously, the pop for Cena, and obviously Grayson Waller saying, "How about WrestleMania in Australia?" And then everyone in England's booing the heck out of him. I thought that, it was fantastic. And really, the crowd, I think, made that Cena and Grayson Waller moment hit even more close to home with all the British and Australian references. But overall, I'm 100% for it, and I hope that I do hope that they can get a WrestleMania sometime soon at WrestleMania, because Wembley Stadium, they do well for NFL games. Remember, imagine something more worldwide than American football. I think they're going to sell out. So
Yeah,
absolutely. And then we have potentially the biggest moment of Grayson Waller's career,
right.
being in the ring with John Cena. Now, I will say this: Walla Bing Bong got lucky, because if he wanted to go toe-to-toe on Cena, Cena would have done what he does to everyone best. Make them famous for about 5 minutes, and then the whole career goes down the drain.
Mm-hmm. Like, okay, that's a great point. Because remember when Cena absolutely cooked Theory?
yeah, I was just about to say.
Theory got buried.
What has he done since? Besides beat him at Mania. After Mania, he had like this little weak triple threat with Bronson and Lashley, and then has kind of been mediocre ever since. So guess what? Cena was right. The whole time he cooked him. He cooked him.
And to piggyback off that, I think the only one to really come out of a Cena feud and maintain his posture is Roman Reigns. And that infamous promo where it's called a promo, kid. You got to learn how to cut one sometime.
He learned.
Roman learned.
Paul Heyman down the road, but Roman learned.
Yeah, and so now getting past the Cena segment, the biggest return of the night, Drew McIntyre back challenging Gunther, the Ring General, for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. Match has not yet been made official, but guys, we're pretty unanimous with that's the SummerSlam match for Gunther, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanna get you guys' thoughts on this. Like, do you think Drew is the one to end the reign?
I mean, considering he's had the opportunities before and failed, I don't know. But again, we haven't seen McIntyre since Mania. He was the one to take the pin at Mania, and now he's trying to come back with vengeance and take the title at SummerSlam. And honestly, I thought for a while after WrestleMania that Gunther was going to remain the champion for probably quite a while, till around like the Royal Rumble days. I honestly wasn't expecting him to potentially drop the title so soon. But I mean, with McIntyre coming back, maybe it does make sense for them to, build that feud heading into the fall, and then potentially something bigger for the two wrestlers down the road. But I'm fully on board with this
Sam, what's your
rivalry.
thoughts?
They've done a great job before.
Drew does not win the Intercontinental Championship. I think they're going to try to make Gunther the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion ever. Simply because I think he has had recently some bangers on Raw with like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that like, I think they're going to be like, okay, they're going to make this guy as strong as they can possibly make him, have him lose like shortly after he becomes the longest reigning champ, and then put him in the world title picture. Because I just think that I don't see anybody that can beat Gunther right now. Drew is the only one that be like, that would be like somewhat close, but like, let's be realistic here. Gunther has been on a roll all year since the Rumble, when he had like that hour-long showing, and he had like that mini match at the end with Cody, and then he's had like some awesome bangers, like the one with Sheamus last year in England, and then he had the one at Mania with Sheamus and Drew, and then even the match with Riddle and Money in the Bank was actually pretty good too. So he had some really good matches recently. So I don't see him dropping the title to Drew. I think Drew will probably get back into like the world title and stuff like that, try to go after Seth at some point.
I see this match going one of two ways. Drew could win this and get his moment in front of people finally. Because let's not forget, Drew hasn't had his big moment yet because he carried the pandemic era.
But I wouldn't consider winning the Intercontinental Championship like the moment that he should have had, like winning the world title at Mania.
But
I don't know.
It's also a moment where he's dethroning the longest reigning champion.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
I just think it's gonna still be Gunther though, because like you pointed out, they want him to become the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. Now, let's get into the biggest shocker of the night at Money in the Bank. Shayna Baszler turning on Ronda Rousey. And can we just all give a round of applause to Shayna for that wonderful promo on Monday Night Raw?
He was fucking Ronda.
The way she came out, she said, I think I speak for everyone here, and we're sick and tired of you trying to talk on a microphone. And that knee was so stiff. I don't know about you guys, but at SummerSlam, give this match the fight pit.
Oh, put it in the fight. I mean, I say they just have like how about an I Quit match? Because there's rumors right now that Ronda's leaving the company. I don't know if you guys know that. There's rumors going around that Ronda's finishing up with WWE right now.
Yeah, I did see that floating around.
If they're going to do it, if they do it right, Ronda and Shayna, loser leaves WWE match at SummerSlam. They could build up as like, this company's too big for both of our egos to be in the company. One of us has got to go. And then they'll have like the loser leaves WWE match, and then Shayna wins, has like a big moment, and then Ronda gets the na, hey, goodbye, and then bye-bye. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I do love that idea, and I'm completely on board with that as well. I think you do got to add in some sort of stipulation, and I think definitely the loser leaves WWE would be the proper way how to do it. And, you guys mentioned Drew McIntyre's yet to have his big moment in front of, non-pandemic. Shayna Baszler's kind of the same thing. In fact, after her little rivalry there with Becky Lynch, I really feel like after that feud, they never built off of that. And then, they kind of put her in a couple of tag teams, then tag team with Ronda. She had a WrestleMania moment winning with Ronda. And I do think that this face turn was very necessary. So I think this is going to be best for both. Ronda can kind of go about her way. Shayna can continue to try to regroup herself, get that huge win on a premium live event, and hopefully build off of that to, potentially the women's Royal Rumble match or women's Money in the Bank match next year. This could be the start to something huge for Shayna, and I would hate that, WWE wastes this opportunity again, because they've had multiple moments where they could have cashed in on her and made her a star by now. So I just hope they don't make the same mistake again.
Absolutely. And speaking of making mistakes, I think it's time we talk about Bray Wyatt. And it pains me because Sam, when we first got to know each other at school, and Grant, we first got to know each other in school, it was a month before Extreme Rules happened. And we were all just talking. They're bombing over wrestling, talking about Bray Wyatt is the White Rabbit. Mm-hmm. The return happened. What happened since? What good has there been for Bray Wyatt back in WWE besides his return?
He beat LA Knight in a Mountain Dew pitch black match and mysteriously disappeared. I don't know, but they absolutely butchered the situation with Bray Wyatt. Now, I don't know if there's an underlying injury or they're just flat out not utilizing him. Wyatt is way too good of, I think, talent to just simply be rotting away backstage. They could do so much stuff with him, and they just have him doing nothing. I mean, he could have a feud with anybody. He could come out in the middle of a premium live event and start up a feud that way. You know, the lights could go off on an episode of Raw or SmackDown. Next thing you know, the Demon's back. Oh my goodness. You know, they could do so many things with Bray Wyatt. So many mysterious, creepy, you know, out of ordinary things that they couldn't do with other wrestlers. And they are just failing this big time. It was great. He returned. He had a good feud with LA Knight. You know, he and The Undertaker attacked LA Knight on I think it was the 30th anniversary of Raw. Like, that moment, very special for Bray. What have they done besides that? Absolutely nothing.
And with that, I turn it over to Sam Smith, because Sam does this investigations and he always finds out his information. But Sam, the last thing I saw about this, and Sati and Steve, our friends over at Straight Shoot, pointed this out. The last thing we heard is that he's been out with an injury or a sickness for a while. But do you think it's that, or do you think Bray Wyatt was secretly let go from the company?
No, he wasn't secretly let go, because if he was they just had like a WWE just posted like a YouTube video of like 30 minutes of like superstar returns, and then Bray Wyatt was actually involved in that. So it definitely was not that he was released. The injury part, that is being reported that is what's going on. Apparently he's injured or sick or something. There's something going on with his health. So that's all I know about that. But from what I know, it's just that he's sick or hurt. I don't know.
That makes the situation a little bit better, knowing that literally, if he can't compete, he can't compete, and nor should, you know, you force Bray to compete if he physically can't. At least that's good. I would rather hear he's injured than just, oh yeah, we just have no storytelling for him at the moment.
And I want to go back to what you said about what good has come out of Bray Wyatt. The only thing that's come good out of Bray Wyatt besides his return, which was perfectly done, by the way, the actual return itself at Extreme Rules,
absolutely phenomenal.
The only thing that's come out of it was the rise to stardom of LA Knight. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
You know, and prayers out to Bray Wyatt if this is truly what's going on, because I would greatly love to see him have a feud with the likes of Karrion Kross.
That would be amazing if they did that.
Or the likes of him against Cody Rhodes.
That could be interesting, because Cody's facial his acting could be really cool in that. Imagine a Firefly Funhouse match against him. Imagine a Firefly Funhouse. Remember when Cena brought out all his past, like all the like gimmicks and stuff like that? He wore like the neon color shorts he used to wear.
Yeah.
He became phenomenomic Cena. Like, imagine. Sorry, I just had somebody like an ambulance go by my house. Imagine like the legacy Cody Rhodes comes out, although he couldn't have Ted DiBiase. Anyway, moving on. He's in a lot of trouble right now with the law. Anyway, you could have that come out. You could have Smoke and Mirrors, Cody Rhodes, dashing, undashing, Stardust. You could do anything you want.
Oh my God, me and Sam did that on Sync.
Yeah, there you go. You could do Well, we lived together for 8 months. I'm sure it's about to happen.
True.
But Stardust, you can do. You can even bring back like some of the Bullet Club members for that. Like there can go so many different directions with that. If they were to do a Firefly Funhouse match, it would be hilarious if they did that. Yeah,
and another one I was thinking, what about Edge versus Bray? Brood Edge. What if you have Bray Wyatt and his faction take on the Judgment Day?
Oh, because that could be really like dark and mysterious. Because the Judgment Day, black, purple, like very dark. And then you can have Bray you can put, whenever Braun Strowman comes back from whatever his injury is, he has like a knee injury. I think he's like 15% paralyzed or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then if he ever fights out of that, and then you can bring back Eric Rowan. Obviously, you can't bring back Brody Lee. Rest in peace. But you can bring back Eric and Braun anyway with Bray and put him against Finn, Damian, and Dom, which is hilarious that I'm even involving Dom in that conversation. But Finn,
Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
They're renaming him to Dirty Dom, by the way. That's
terrible.
Poor guy.
Going off that idea, isn't that a great idea? When both Wyatt and Strowman come back from injuries, all you need is to bring back Eric Rowan, and boom, you essentially have the Wyatt family right back together. And they come back together kind of like honoring Brody Lee.
Mhm.
And I think that's their whole goal, is to, win the tag team championships for Brody, or they could make a great storyline out of that. So I'm all for that.
Wyatt family, Judgment Day, War Games.
Absolutely. I think that would be incredible.
Tyler, you hearing that?
All for it. All for
Yeah.
it. Sorry, I just checked Twitter and it looks like the Bloodline Tribal Court tonight is rumored to feature a surprise guest.
Oh boy. Well, okay, here's the thing. It's got to be big. They're in Madison Square Garden tonight. They're in New York. It has to be huge. It has to be some
Rock?
No, I wouldn't think it'd be The Rock.
If they want to make it even bigger, Solo turns on Roman.
That could be cool. Well, you said it was a surprise guest. I'm thinking it's going to be Rikishi. Because Uso's dad. You got to bring out Rikishi in that moment. Straighten him out. You can bring out Roman. You can bring out Alpha and Sika. You could bring out... Who else is in that family that's still that's still with us? You can bring out... you can bring out The Rock.
You could bring out The Rock, but I feel like for Dwayne to come back, you gotta wait for a premium live event like a SummerSlam, like a Royal Rumble. You just you can't just throw The Rock back out on a random episode of SmackDown. If anything, that's why I think it's going to be Rikishi. But
it would catch a lot of people off guard if they did The Rock. But I don't think it's going to be The Rock. I think it's going to be Rikishi comes out and lights Roman up. Like, he just, goes to town. Because they're having the trial of Roman Reigns is what they're calling it. So we'll see what that looks like. I would not be surprised if Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens get involved in this in some way.
I was about to say, yep.
Especially Sami, because, he's the one that, was in the bloodline and then backstabbed them. So, it would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got about 10 minutes left here in this meeting. So I want to go ahead and start talking about the bloodline. And guys, what a phenomenal 3 years this storyline has been. It's not been wrestling. It's been pure cinema.
Mm-hmm.
From Jimmy Uso kicking at Night of Champions to Jay saying, "You're out and I'm out too," to that, to Roman getting pinned for the first time in 3 years by none other than main event Jay Uso. And with that, Grant and Sam, I want to get into it. Is Jay the one to finally dethrone the tribal chief this coming SummerSlam?
Well,
yes.
I think so. Honestly,
yes.
I didn't think it was possible. I thought when Cody lost at WrestleMania, there was going to be absolutely nobody else that could possibly dethrone Roman. Well, I'll give WWE credit. 2 months later, Jey Uso back in the World Championship picture. During Money in the Bank, I didn't expect Roman to get pinned. I thought Solo was going to take the pin with the Usos winning. Absolutely jaw-dropped me. Absolutely floored. Why not? And I think SummerSlam, if you're going to have Roman lose, you got to have Roman lose because of a Solo Sikoa spike.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way how you draw it up. Solo spike, Uso double splash off the top rope, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it would just be the end to the best ending to the greatest wrestling storyline ever told. I think this is the greatest storyline in the history of professional wrestling.
Absolutely,
because from start to finish, it's just been like the way Roman started. He started with Jay in the storyline, and then Jay joined him, and then Jimmy joined him, and then they were just running roughshod. And then, especially in the past year, it's been even 20 times better. With it's just been the greatest storyline ever told. WWE should win an Emmy for the amount of amazing moments we've had in this storyline. It's been there should be a Bloodline movie.
100%. And you know, for the longest time, I always said it was gonna be Seth. It was gonna be Seth because Seth is the only one that has technically beaten Roman via disqualification besides Jay. Back at the Royal Rumble in 2022, which
Right.
God, that was an awful pay-per-view.
It was bad.
But yeah, I think it's Jay's time, man. It's Jay's time. And then I think that's going to go somewhere where the storyline's going to continue without Roman. It's going to cause a breakup between Jimmy and Jay because Jimmy's going to get jealous.
And that's how you book Jay becomes a single star. And then Jimmy and Jay could fight one day. I don't know when that will be. Maybe WrestleMania. That's a main event now with the Bloodline storyline. Jimmy
Make it a
Jay,
triple threat. Solo.
No. Oh, solo. Yes, sure, absolutely.
But because we know when Roman loses his titles, he's going on a long break. He rightfully so. Yeah. He deserves it. He's been carrying the company for the better part of 3 years. And if Jay can't do it, there's only one answer I got left. It's got to be Gunther.
Oh,
really? I thought the whole thing was Cody's gonna,
Cody has his own shebang going on with Brock. I think it's well past sailed, yes.
Wow.
They fumbled the
I also said Solo is another one that could dethrone Roman. I said Solo could be another one.
Sure.
But Gunther would be really cool. Because if they book it right, Gunther could be a great heel champion. They could actually somehow turn Roman babyface in this whole thing. Which is crazy to even think about. But I think Roman is a babyface, and with this character, keep his character, but turn him babyface in a way. Like take the heel tactics out of it. It could be really interesting. Maybe after his little break, after he drops the belts, maybe you can have him come back at let's say he drops it at SummerSlam. He can come back after WrestleMania, like the Raw after WrestleMania. You know how it is. Hopefully they'll actually do it right this time. Hopefully Vince doesn't have his hands all over it. Maybe have Roman come out at the end of the show, big return, tries to go after the belts, and then he's babyface in that moment.
Yeah, so while we got 4 minutes and 40 seconds here, guys, I want to play a game with you.
All right,
called we're gonna do a little bit of fantasy booking here. And if you had the choice, would you rather have Brock in the streak or Roman in the streak?
Is there a no one option?
The streak was bound to end, Sam. Come on.
No, I'm with Sam 100%. And I remember watching WrestleMania 30 when it happened. And I mean, I was as jaw dropped as anybody, but Sam can go first.
Yeah. Okay. If I had to choose,
it's Roman for me.
If I had to choose, it would be this version of Roman, not 2017 Roman. If the streak was still going on right now, and Undertaker was going to fight Roman at Mania, then I'd be fine with Roman winning.
Grant, what do you think?
I mean, I thought at the time it made a lot of sense for Brock to end the title, and then he would go on to have multiple world championship runs afterwards. But now that, Roman has also beaten Brock just a lot during this, 2.5-year title reign, I kind of got to go with Sam. If Roman was going to beat The Undertaker, I agree. It shouldn't have been then. It should have been this version of Roman using the bloodline and the cheating tactics to win. I think that would have been a little bit more better. Looking back at it then, though, I kind of understand why they let Brock do it. That was Brock's pretty much his huge win since returning to WWE in 2012, and they wanted to make him that future champion. And so, again, back then in 2014, it made sense, but looking back at it, I probably would have waited for Roman to break it a few years later.
All right, Sam, eliminate one from history.
Oh, boy.
Roman Reigns returns as the Tribal Chief. Seth Rollins breaks up the Shield. Or the Hardy Boys return at WrestleMania 33.
Okay. the Hardys return at WrestleMania 33. Now, I absolutely love that return because I popped hard like everybody else did when he came out. I went insane. I marked out. But the Hardys returning was not as big of a deal as Seth breaking up the Shield was, I think, personally. When the Shield broke up, the first thing you thought was, whoa. Because nobody saw it coming.
Right.
The rumors were running rampant that weekend that the Hardys were going to come out and have a big return at Mania. Even like the night before the Keep Kayfabe, they were having a match with the Young Bucks at Ring of Honor. And in that awesome ladder match, which I recommend you go watch, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But yeah, so I would easily eliminate the Hardys from returning.
Right.
I would eliminate the Hardys as well. I mean, when I was younger, and again, watching Raw live when that happened in 2014, when Seth gave the chair shot to Roman, I was devastated because I was a huge Shield fan, and I did think that they broke up a little bit too early. But with that being said, that was monumental for all three. You know, Seth, Rollins, and Dean, they all had championship runs after that breakup. So overall, it worked best for all three at the end. That's why I'm eliminating the Hardys.
Absolutely, guys. And with that being said, I want to thank Sam Smith and Grant Flood for joining us here on the 3 Count podcast segment of the Swizz Sports Show. We will be back right here after SummerSlam. Don't go anywhere. Follow me on Instagram at the Swizz Sports Show and on YouTube at the Swizz Sports Show. From Tyler, Grant, and Sam, it's been a 3 Count. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you.